I want a jazz intro.
Yeah. Jazz intro.
Add jazz intro here.
Yeah.
Smooth jazz.
You can do it, Matt. I believe in you. Our editor.
And
everyone else, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
If you could hear the instrumentation, that's credited to Matt, and it might feel like a bit of a different vibe than the murky campfire wandering from the darkness verbiage we normally use. Don't worry, we'll be going back to that probably, but we thought variety is the spice of life, guys. And we are all about both variety and spice on Always Strikes Last.
Yes.
So welcome. Tonight, you were joined by
late
myself.
Tonight, boys.
Yeah.
Late tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, very late. We're doing the ASL traditional recording time of the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah.
We got Rocco, myself, Jack, and Mason on to talk about
how do you do?
Yeah, Mason's journey through a little GT out in the Pacific Northwest called the Cascade Clash. Was it, Mason? Is that what it was?
Cascade Clash. Yep, that's what it was.
Awesome. And has been sort of promulgated through our podcast. Everyone should know by now that Pacific Northwest is a dangerous place of high-level monsters and sharks. You have to go fight in for tournament results. So it's no easy wins in this environment.
I believe 23 players ended up being the final total because somebody dropped out of an illness. So there's 23 total players. 5 golden tickets already secured before the tournament happened. That were there.
Man.
So like you could get 6th and still just go to that's
theoretically amazing. Yes.
That's just wild. I mean, there was one going, I think, around the same time up in my neck of the woods around Boston. Really awesome event run up in Maine, at the Samoset Resort called the Ides of March GT. And I'd been thinking of ways I might be able to align the stars to go to that with a similar quest in mind, but I don't think there was that kind of field situation where it was like 30 players there. Get 6th and you got it. I think it was you had to get first or second.
Yeah, the PNW, man, for every golden ticket we get, we definitely make them count,
and the
nice thing is that I mean, the nice thing too is that everybody's always giving it their all. So even if it's getting passed down, you're still slugging for every fight. But yeah, Cascade Clash was this last weekend, and it was a banger. It was a lot of fun. Small tournament, 23 players, but it doesn't really matter. You still only play 5 guys, 5 gals, whatever.
Still got to play 5 games. Could be 15, could be 12, could be 25. Could be just as tough.
And the numbers, like we were just getting at, the numbers don't reflect how strong the room is, right? And it's not like it was 5 ticket holders and a bunch of brand new players. I mean, it was a Shark Tank, right? I knew everybody there. There was maybe one or 2 people that I had never seen before, but other people knew them, right? So not brand new players. It was up, Pacific Northwest. It was in Mount Vernon at the Skagit County Fairgrounds. So it was a cool city fairground kind of situation. We were basically playing in a barn where they have the dog shows.
Oh, cool.
They had Kill Team and AOS going on in our barn, and then in the barn over, they had 40K, and then in the house, kind of, building, whatever, they had Magic tournaments going on. So it's kind of like a convention of sorts, put on by Aegis Games out of Bellingham.
Nice. And that's a great use of a space too, that not a lot of people would think to even try to rent for a bigger thing, using the fairground out of season.
For sure.
That's pretty fantastic. Probably cheapest chips too to get in there. Maybe a little cooler than people like, depending on the building's insulation, but that's awesome.
Interesting you say that, because yes, indeed, that is true. But also there were these ceiling heaters, they hung from the ceiling, right?
For the animals normally.
I think so.
As a barn.
And boy howdy did it keep it hot. If you had a game under one of and they ran the whole thing, and so every other row was
that's amazing too. The 50-50 chance of getting baked alive by some heat lamp, which is actually meant to ambient heat the whole structure, but in fact it's just melting your model.
Well, and I think somebody mentioned it after the fact, but the door, we kept the door open so people could come in and out of the barn area, right? But the thermostat is there, and so theoretically it's designed to take in air and keep the space at a set point, right? And so if the door is constantly open, the thermostat is going to read colder than the rest of the room. I mean, that's like what I do for work, kind of. So that makes total sense to me. It's all on awesome. Controls. So
you're right. You're right. Look at an HVAC system. That'd be it.
But nevertheless, it was a super fun event. It was a really cool venue. Parking was fine. They had a little store and snacks and drinks and all that jazz. There was food nearby. I stayed up there with Alex, our brother, in the microphone.
Excellent.
And then also another Alex, Alex Gonzalez, who's a fellow Corsair with me and Frias. So the three of us stayed at La Quinta up there in
nice. Very nice.
Yeah, tons of fun. I had a blast. I brought flesh eater quartz to this tournament, which is old faithful for me these days. It's what I have. I have everything.
Did you bring the same list that you had to kick my ass in the TTS thing, or is this a different version?
No, very different.
Okay. So he's multi-talented and will do it with every version of Flesh Eater Quartz. All right, go on.
I against you, I'm bringing half of what I brought, and then the other half is Nagash. So
fair.
It could be better or worse, depending on how the hand of dust roll goes. But
yeah, exactly. No, but for this tournament, I brought Usharin and a Cardinal, and then I had the Marrow Scroll Herald for a Courtier and the Crypt Horror Courtier, the Crypt Haunter Courtier. Yep. Then I had 12 Morbeg Knights and 12 Crypt Horrors. So 2x6 Morbegs and 2x6 Crypt Horrors.
So a lot of chunky meat, good stuff to come back with the recursion. And,
a lot exactly. Playing Lords of the Manor, where I get that every revive is an extra revive. Really getting high value.
Okay.
Roll an extra dice for rally dice. So they're 4 health models, right? So again, if I roll 4 and I get one back, that's 2 back. So, and then if I spend 2 noble deeds, that's 1 model back. So it's 2 models back, right? So
it's just so scary. Like, honestly, like these rules interactions with the Lords. Like I looked at that, a couple weeks ago when we were getting ready for our league, and I was just like, this is just fearsome.
Yes.
But man.
It can be quite scary, but like the horrors, especially, there's an interaction with one of the spells that says like you allocate some damage, and for the damage you allocate, you return that many infantry models, and the horrors are infantry models, so you could have like one left on 1 wound and get the spell off and deal 3 damage, bring back 4 horrors to the unit. Right?
Oh, that's something. I didn't even realize that was out there. I was just thinking about like being able to roll 9 dice to get like a rally, which is normally unheard of for 4 or 5 wound model. Get that.
Well, and then every courtier, like I said, every courtier spends 2 points to bring back 1 knight, and that's 2. That's 2, as long as you're only spending 2, right? Or if you spent 4 points, you get 3 back. So, it's got some really strong interactions. And talking about like earlier, there were a lot of golden ticket holders. I just realized while going through that I played 3 of the 5 golden ticket holders in my run through the Cascade Clash. Yeah, so it truly held up to its name in that regard. Round 1, jumping right into it, I played against Chris Lemoy. He was playing Seraphon. So
we hear his name a lot from when y'all go out to these tournaments, I feel like.
Yep. He's very
one of the
good.
golden ticket holders, or
correct, he is. Yep. He top cut at WCW last year. He was on our P&W winning team. He's a very, very strong player. I remember that he had Agrodons, but I don't remember a lot about that game, which is kind of bizarre for me. I was trying to think back because I can remember my other games really vividly. I don't remember a ton of what that game had in store. I did win pretty convincingly, but I can't even remember a ton of like highlights, and I hate to do that to you, Chris.
1:30 in the morning, that recording, that'll do it to you. But
yeah, I know. Yeah. I should start taking more notes when we play. But the first one on the night we were hanging out late with the boys the night before, and so the first one on the Saturday can be a
What
tough.
was your ritual, Mason? Hold on, we got a way to go about this here. Did you take a ghost?
Sorry.
You go Celsius?
Oh
no, I didn't have that because we were like out and about. We stopped at some like local coffee shop, and I had what they called a mermaid drink. And it was delicious. I don't know what was in it. I have no clue. It apparently was like Lotus or something, which I think is like an energy drink of sorts.
Okay.
Nevertheless, mermaiding it up.
Okay.
Was doing pretty good. It was weird. I'm going off-roading here.
All right.
The Friday night we were out and about just having dinner and I never get too rowdy, so we weren't doing anything too crazy. But I started to lose my voice, which really sucked.
Heard a little gravel in there lately.
Yeah, I woke up Saturday morning and had like a really sore throat and like literally no voice. And so like all weekend I was trying to play Warhammer. I was just like pounding cough drops and like just
whispering across the table.
Yeah, exactly. Just struggling. But I fought through it, no big deal. We're already up there. We're playing, you know what I mean? So but yeah, so round one against Seraphon, they do some pretty gross tricks. I know that he had like 2x10 of the Saurus Warriors. He had 6 Crocs of Gore. I think he had a Slon. I can't remember if it was Croak or not, but I think it was a Slon and the Skate Star.
Was the chair really, really tall?
No. Oh, okay. I'm remembering more now. Thank you. It's coming back. He had the Oracle on Troglodon also. And so he gave that the Ethereal and the double heal thing. And then he had a Bastillodon with Arc of Sotek. Oh, nice. It's coming back to me. Okay. So I got to do some pretty cheeky antics here with this. I had some Morbeg like sneak around the side and like with the impact damage and their attacks, even though he was still on like 2-ups, I did exactly enough damage to kill the Bastillodon.
Nice.
Like early on. I also got to do this really gross play where I countercast the Flesh Eater Court wall. And I put it in such a way that his like really safe far back Agrodons were going to be hit by it. And he was trying to swing them out to go fight. So all of a sudden they couldn't run, they couldn't retreat, and they were half moved. Right. So I like tagged them and like, and just kind of like pushed in and pinned him. And then he dealt some damage back. And I said, okay, cool. My turn. I'll refill every single one of my units to full and press in. Right. So, it was one of those. It was one of those kind of situations. It just wasn't quite enough, and the revive was just too powerful there, I think. And then a couple of cheeky feck tricks because most people aren't taking the Flesh Eater Court's manifestations. But that barricade is really strong because it casts on a 5. So.
Oh yeah, that's great value for a 5-up.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So. Oh, being yelled at. But yeah, I'm glad it was coming back to me. You're right. You made me think of a tall chair, Rocco, and it wasn't that. It was the Troglodon situation. So, but yeah, Chris Lemoy is always a tough match, and I was like, a little nervous actually to be having to play him round 1, right? Because I was like, man, it's a tough one. But there are so many players that were sharks, like we said. So any match was going to be tough round 1. Went and got some lunch I think actually, just because I've been trying to eat a little healthier, I bought myself a whole rotisserie chicken for lunch from Safeway. Yeah. So, and then I did buy a ghost at lunch also.
So you brought it back. The Death Faction energy was present. Okay. I can respect that choice, Mason.
I was pounding water. Right.
You were this close to not giving us that coveted sponsorship, but now.
I know. Yeah. No, I've made sure to come through,
One day. That's what's keeping me awake right now is the ghost creamsicle flavor.
There you go. Delicious.
It is.
When you're parched, slam into a ghost.
Spookily delicious.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm ghosted up.
Mm.
I'm fat off chicken, eating
Oh
with my
yeah,
hands like a king and a
there you
grunt
go.
at the same time.
It's just
Um,
like in medieval times, now with a new
right,
show.
exactly. Round two, check the pairings. Boom, who am I into? Awesome, map easily. So uh,
Oh, you
that's gonna
did
be
get
a doozy.
Beasley? Oh,
I
dude.
did, yeah. And
Nice.
so yeah, round two against Beasley.
Wait,
Uh,
Mason, you ate a roast chicken like a medieval lord because you're playing Bretonians. What are you talking about? Of course you ate a roast
through
chicken.
that, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
In
fine
fact,
feast.
feasting.
Mason wasn't in a safe way. He just found a vagrant at the fairground, and there's still an FBI
He was in a
investigation
dumpster
going
out back. He's
on.
actually eating a
Yeah,
raccoon.
exactly.
Oh
No one
no.
quite knows what happens
Oh
up in
no.
Thurston or wherever we were. But yeah, so round two against Beasley, always going to be
Okay.
a really tough match.
Yeah.
Like uh, I have a negative record against Beasley, and I don't have a negative record against hardly any players. So um, it's always a tough one, but it's going to come at some point. So let's see how we do.
Yeah.
It was a really tight game. Dice were pretty good. He was using all of his Destiny dice at like really good times. He had some nice rolls for like
Oh, he's
eights and
off
nines
Skaven
and
now and he's
tens.
back on Zinj. Okay.
Sneech, 80 horrors. Like,
Holy.
Ugh.
yeah, the filth. And you know
Why
what? I
would
was
we ever
playing
friends
filth,
with
so I
him?
was
My
asking
God.
for it. Yeah.
Ugh.
um,
Love you, Matt.
yeah, it's brutal, and he's getting some testing in, and I don't blame him. So,
Yeah.
uh,
It
he's
worked.
he represents America soon
Oh,
at Worlds. So,
yeah.
um, and you gotta give him the reps. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's a tight game. It would be tough to like quickly dissect what that game looks like. I think we can boil it up to I got a little bit lucky that he took an uncharacteristic risk that was probably unnecessary in the beginning of the game, earlier in the game, and gave up a
Mhm.
little more position than he had to, and
Was it
then
one of those things where like, oh, this doesn't happen normally. I want to see how this plays out while I'm testing out a new list, kind of a
Yeah,
deal?
I'm really curious because he's so methodical most of the time when he plays.
yeah,
So
I think it was an idea to try and pin a little bit and then like pull out and redeploy and get back into like a safety bubble net
Oh,
that the rest was going to move up into. But
uh,
I was able to deal enough damage. Like Usharon went in. I think it was just maybe a little bit of
He'll
underestimating
pop pink.
Usharon damage or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like Usharon was able to deal like 20 in one go or something like that. And then
Yeah.
um
Huh?
there wasn't really a good way for him to pin me with a what are those called? The horrors that they not the horrors, the
Oh, the
spawn
screamers.
that they summon.
Oh yeah, those yeah those
The
the
those
spawn
spawn, yeah.
trick
the spawn chaos spawn.
is a really popular thing, and so
Yeah.
with 4 wound guys, it's tougher to do that reliably against.
Yeah.
And then once he put it out, he started with it out. I think I like deliberately was ignoring it for as long as I could, so that I
Couldn't get the model back to bring it
right
in.
exactly.
That's how you deal with that. That's
Yep, yep. Um, and
ugh.
so yeah, it ended up being a close game. I want to say the score was 44-40 in the end.
Okay.
So we used a lot of our time. He had like maybe 7 or 8 minutes left, and I had 13 or 14 minutes
Mm,
left total.
nice.
It was really well fought. It was a tight game. Man, it's so obnoxious to play against. What really saved me though, and what makes Feck so good into that
Hmm.
is that
Uh-huh.
all the abhorrents have heals built in from allegiance abilities.
Oh yeah.
Horrors heal D3 in your hero phase, and most of the courtiers heal D3 in the hero phase, plus rally that I'm already
Hmm.
trying to do.
Yeah.
Everybody is healing the burn off at all times, right?
Hmm.
Another thing, it doesn't come up too often, but I used it more and more as the tournament went on because I was like, oh, this is fire. There's a prayer that you can put on a guy, and it says every time a model in that unit is slain, heal everyone in combat with it, 1. And then if it goes off on a
Huh.
10 up, it's D3 every time. So he would like apply burn in the shooting phase. I would have that on them. The first guy would swing and clear it, burning off everyone in combat. So
Mm.
um, the ability to make burning just like never happen
Yeah.
was really powerful.
Man,
Oh
Nurgle
wow.
hates to see you coming too, huh?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Feck's
Okay.
very strong though. A little pushed. We asked the guests on our last episode, however many moons ago that was with the Deepkin stuff, that like what he thought.
Many days ago.
Yeah, what he
Definitely
thought was
not
going to
20
be
minutes
like
ago.
green or red, and Feck's getting red, baby. You're like, it's going to happen. Just it's pushed.
I believe
The
it.
Which is
revive,
really funny because you
the
started
revive
at
is
the
so strong.
index, like, people were like, how do I make this work? And then just slight changes here and there, and it's feast time.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring that up because like all they really got was rousing orations and a tiny bit of point changes, and then everyone's like, oh. Yeah, these guys are busted, and it's not because rousing orations are tiny point drops.
No.
It's funny you say that, Mason, because like I said, I was looking at them, and those weren't the things that were alarming me as much. I mean, yeah, the stuff you can get into the list.
It helps the engine flow, which is really nice. It lets you get up to the deeds faster. Because what I was doing, like on my first turn, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to make you go first, and the Cardinal's going to give a guy a D3 deeds. Then on my turn, Cardinal's going to give someone D3 deeds. I'm going to rousing orations. I'm going to have this dude jump in the chair. He gets D3 deeds. 2 priests, 2 casts from Usharon. All of a sudden, like I'm juiced up. Like the whole team is on deck.
And it took 1 round.
Yeah, and then Usharon's usually the one that's at like 1 or 2, but I'm trying to send him in to just go punch his way to 6 right now.
Get him the
and he's going to punch his way to 6 in 2 seconds. Absolutely. But even just like throw the Cardinal to the throne, give himself D3, get D3 from the throne, like he's almost always topped up. Like if you need your unit back, he's ready.
And honestly, the Cardinal's the last one that I tried to juice up just for some advanced tactics. Like the Crypt Haunter Courtier in my list, he's the one where you're like, your opponent's turn, give him D3 deeds. On your turn, give him D3 deeds. Rousing orations him because he, other than fighting, doesn't have a way to generate them for himself, and you don't really want to fight with him, right? He can hold his own. He's scary enough in a fight that they don't really want to engage, but that dude is a revive battery, right? He is very important to keep alive because he revives models. For two deeds, he brings back 2 models, right? We talk about that. It's really important. So I want the dude who's in the chair who's going to like naturally get it himself. I want him to battery up my courtier so I can freely spend them, because the abhorrent dude is 6 or bust, right? So the Cardinal is all about, am I bringing back a full unit or not? And kind of an interesting segue into round 3. I'll mention this, like the worst thing that can happen to me is my full unit gets wiped, because my recursion is actually, or the revive is actually better than the recursion, in my opinion. It costs me less investment points, and I can bring more back, right? If I have 1 horror left, I can easily bring the 5 missing back, no problem, most turns. But if the whole unit's wiped, I can only bring back 3, and now I can only revive that unit back to 3.
Yeah, it's only ever going to be 3 because they changed it from the way it was before, right? It's no longer like go back up. Okay.
Probably fairly,
Yeah.
But if the points were appropriate, I could see it, going back to it with the book maybe. But I think that Feck can afford to pay a 10 to 15% premium for their night units because the revive is so powerful.
Yeah.
It only seems fair
enough.
But yeah, into round 3, I played against Mike Hammond.
And you said you beat Beasley.
I did beat Beasley, 44-40. Yep.
All right.
So 2 golden ticket holders down. Boom, boom, riding high.
Yeah.
Ghosted up. So yeah, then I go into Mike Hammond, who's our guest from like ages ago, right? Two episodes ago or whatever.
2 whole episodes ago. I mean, might as well be a different Eon, indeed.
Yeah. And he was playing Khorne. Khorne is a very obnoxious army to face against. But I feel good. Like I'm playing what I think is one of the most powerful armies in the game. Khorne is annoying always, but I'm feeling confident. I get a little overconfident, uncharacteristically for me in this game, honestly. We're playing on shifting objectives, which is Khorne's best mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Fight in the middle and control the board, yeah.
So this one is a little bit weird to dissect because it nothing felt too strong in the game. I think that it was my game to lose, not to take it away from Mike, because he played brilliantly. Like he literally did everything just right and had to play, and even was vocal about having to play Khorne in a way that he has never had to play corn before. No, he said, nobody makes me do this. This never happens, right? But I made him go first. He creeps up and touches some objectives. I go, move all of my stuff up, charge some stuff in. You know what I mean? Like just engage and fight. Then I get a double turn and I lay on, right? So I have him like back in his deployment zone. I have like units killed. I've got units engaged because he made some really crazy death alleys with the board and the terrain. We decided there was like a ton of impassable. So there was like a bunch of like weird lanes. I was trying to like abuse that, but so was he at the same time. So it was a nice like
it's a nice tactical battle
through those alleys. He had Scarbrand off on a side. I sent 6 more bags to try to go deal with that sucker. Went in, including the impact damage, dealt 4 damage to Scarbrand. He clapped him back and just killed 4 more bags on his own. You know, so that was a letdown.
Scarbrand's a hell of a jug, man.
This game was like really tight. The final score was 33-32.
Oh wow, razor.
Yeah, so very thin, not a high scoring game. What won this game was there was a few plays where I could have been a little bit more risk averse, but I was like, I can surely deal the last 4 damage to Scarbrand with these 2 fight first heroes, right? Sure can't, you know? So would have been better to not throw both of my revive batteries away to try to do that. You know, there were things I could have done. But
so the truly, heroes were gone and they really
truly what won that game is Murder Lust. That ability is so incredibly game changing that it stopped everything that I wanted to do. I mean, redeploy Murder Lust is just insanity, man. So yeah, I mean, so many props to Mike because it was a brilliant game and he had to play on the back foot. And he did it just right. Like it was really well. He used all of the tools very appropriately. Scarbrand did a lot of heavy lifting. I'm not a huge Scarbrand fan, but in this game he did do a lot of heavy lifting. But he's not the reason that I lost. But I was happy to keep it tight, like a 1-point win. It was kind of nutso.
Good.
That sounds amazing. And
we're talking about like Mike. On the final turn to do the win. What he needed to do was like continue to own a single non-primary point and sprint Scarbrand to the back of my board to take their land for the last tactic to win by 1 point. So like that's the kind of getting out of the way he was doing with this corn list, right? So
non-corn activities at all, but thinking about the game and the points, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Golf clap, Mike. Awesome.
Very, very good. Yeah. So then
where I moved my camera.
Went back to the hotel. We had a boys go in the hot tub night, you know,
nice.
Soak out the day's work. It was a blast. Lots of screaming children for the first little bit, but then Grandpa Mason had to go to bed because I was very tired. And my throat was not feeling great. But I wanted to still chill and hang out for a bit. So did all that, woke up the next morning. And then, you know, I can't think of a better way to say it. We were raw dogging it because there was no energy drink, no mermaid drink, just water, just, you know, going in.
Crazy.
Fresh face with no food or no caffeine almost, you know, not even a ghost. And you're like ready to just jump into it. So then your game.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly. Game 4, we find out at the hotel before we take off, though, I have to play Alec Gonzalez. You know, my teammate, my buddy who I'm, you know, rooming with, all this. I'm like, oh, man, what a bummer. But
awkward
in my mind, I was maybe? Like, right, I know. I was already like out of contention of doing a ticket. And so, because this was a golden ticket event. And so it wasn't as bad, but I was definitely nervous about having to play my buddy also playing Corn, right? I just lost to Corn. Alex is a really strong player, really strong player.
I was going to say, and he's good. No, so.
Yeah, no. And so not excited to have to play Corn again, but here we go. But this time I am a little bit more prepared, not going to make the same mistakes. And I get some really nice dice rolls. And even though I'm like stacking him with blood tithe points, I'm also just like strategically killing all of the stuff that I know that I need to take out and just like leaving the blocks of blood warriors alone, just swinging everything around, just coming around the side, just taking everything out. Here's all your blood tithe. You have no blood.
Were you there for the Mike Ham when we talk about orcs and corn?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say because he's like the best thing is the damn blood warriors are just so good for their points.
Yes,
definitely avoid the hell out of them. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
But sometimes you have to fight him. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I played Alex, and I had some good stuff happen for me. He had some less good stuff happen for him. Honestly, was able to double into 2 and just like again really push through. But this time, like seal the deal, right? So had a pretty decisive win. I think the final score ended up being like 47 or 48-30.
Okay.
Like
oh
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So you brought up some points right there. So this, of course, is going to be a raw points kind of deal. This particular tournament, right? Not going to differential, Mason.
Yes.
So it's
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Looking at a 3-1 right now, going into the final game.
Boom.
So this is interesting because now we know that it's going to be Mike and Stark in the finals. Stark has his golden ticket. So if Mike wins, he's going to get it. But if he loses, it's any X1's, any 4-1's game, right? Like,
yeah. Then it's like point differential. How bad does he lose? Does he?
That's right, because it would
Exactly.
push Mike below the line for you guys, right? So it'd be
So in the final round, I end up having to play Frias. So back-to-back roomies for real. Yeah, it was really messed up, but we're both, right there in the hunt for it. He's playing Slaves to Darkness, the Varangard chosen.
Oh, good, the boogeyman list.
Yeah, the Belgar one. Yeah.
Yep. I've got a good matchup into it, right? I get a bunch of free pluses to save, just one really, but that's fine.
That's enough.
And then really good revives. Yeah, exactly. Really strong revive mechanic. We talked about. So yeah, we go into it. He wins the die roll and chooses attacker, obviously. So he outdrops me, and he decides to go first. I do a pretty crazy counterplay where he sets up the bridge. First of all, he failed Oracular Visions, and he failed the 3d6 charge on the Varangard. So some bad dice there on that.
So no spells done that would make this easier. Okay.
It was giving you hope. All right.
He casts the bridge for the chosen. He has them buffed up with Slanesh and the no command banner, right? Sets up the bridge.
Hold on. He took first turn to do all this?
Yeah. He did. Yeah.
And he didn't get the spell off, and he's still hard committing to slingshot and stuff. Okay.
So sets up the bridge.
Yeah.
I countercast the horses, the Dreadmare.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the Dreadmare Stampede or whatever. So I get the countercast off on like 8 or a 9. He doesn't deny it. And I put it so that I'm blocking where the chosen want to come in with the bridge, right? So he's going to have to he could like charge that thing and just be really close to my front line. So he does the smart thing and like stays back.
Okay.
On my turn, I do some pretty cheeky stuff with the Dreadmare. I like run over them and then I charge it into the back of the chosen so they can't countercharge or come in. I put like Usheron and some knights over there. I make like a bomb charge into the backfield.
Nice.
I do a pretty good job of like keeping stuff out of combat. I kill like 5 of the chosen, keep the Varangard where they are.
Okay. And not on objectives either. They're all in backfield stuff, or not anywhere.
Yeah, basically they're like in between the because this was like Border War or the other one that's like Border War. I forget.
Battle for the Past, maybe. If you're going long ways.
We played those 2 back to back. Like that was rounds 4 and 5. So I forget which one was which. But
okay.
but basically then he sent in the Varangard. He did some fighting.
Yeah.
Didn't do quite enough because he rolled very poorly. Unfortunately for Alex, and he'll say the same thing, but his dice were just like failing him in that game. To make matters worse, then in my round 2, my horrors are all juiced up. They go back. My 6 horrors just in one go kill all 6 Varangard.
And that's like a critical
And aren't
loss.
you Ren 1 with them?
Oh
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Damn. That is a statistical anomaly.
Damage. Yeah, like I felt bad for the guy because it was not. It was definitely not going his way, and so that one was over pretty quick just because of the nature of the matchup.
5 chosen left and a support hero.
Yeah, well, the chosen died soon after. There was one point though where there were like 5 chosen. Usharon went to go do his second turn's hits into them and did 0 damage. So I was like, oh, neat, okay, fun.
This could be the moment,
first swing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, then that was a tough one to have to play 2 teammates and 2 buddies and my roomies and my friends, back to back. And it sucks to see dice so bad, like most people will never blame it on the dice or whatever, but like it was worth mentioning because his army was doing what it wants to do, and if the dice fail you that poorly, unfortunately,
it's a fair point, and hats off to to how it must have felt for Alex in that moment, because I do get it as a fellow Slaves to Darkness player. I mean, and I think even some recent conversations we had about the good and the bad of like Varangard is all this high potential, but you're just like waiting for them to Space Marine or anti-Space Marine them their way out of the value of those points. And I know exactly the turn 1 he was going for with this heavy precision alpha, calling back to Omar a couple episodes ago, trying to hammer scalpel, trying to cut the head off the snake. Probably that's why I took turn 1, and nothing went his way to even set it up, especially with your counterplay, Mason. So
and thankfully he didn't fully commit, but then I was able to really dictate the pace of the game. Pretty decisive win. Mike ended up losing in the finals to Stark through some I was watching a lot of that game, and Stark legit needed Sigmar's divine intervention, like some crazy stuff. He counter prayed to teleport his long strikes and needed a 6 on the counter pray to save them from 10 incoming Skull Reapers and got it, and then like these 7 Blood Warriors that Mike had failed to deal the last 4 damage or whatever they needed to do to Krondis to kill him, and so then they were able to retaliate, and then Stark was able to go and fire again and revive a unit onto this back objective. So and to make matters worse, I forgot, before any of that happened, Mike got the double turn going into turn 2, had the Skull Reapers 6 inches, 6.5 inches away, needed a 7-inch charge to get into the line to just devastate, and failed the reroll before those other things happened. So
oh my God,
hats off to Mike, because he just played a brilliant event and just had the ringer of ringers to go through. And he fought it really hard to the end, but Stark did end up winning. But because of the 4-1 point situation, Stark won Best General. I got Best Overall was my award, which I felt really proud of because I had my army painted with my display board, and so that was really cool to but this was a golden ticket event, dude. I know. This was a golden ticket event, and Stark in first place already had the golden ticket, so they generously passed it down to me as Best Overall. So walk away with an invite to WCW again. Really hard fought tournament.
That's awesome. I mean, congrats to you, and also congrats to everyone we talked about tonight who had some great games and we got up there, fighting for the wins. I mean, obviously dice are dice, but good Warhammer all around.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, guys, I mean, I know we don't often do short, sweet episodes, especially when we do our
hold on. Totally not Jack is Mason or Matt, whoever you are at 2 in the morning.
Secret Matt.
Yeah. Don't forget to, before we completely sign off and everything. Congrats to Mason again. And all of our other friends that have been on here as well that we've seen go out in these tournaments and we talk about them. And if you too want to go out in all these events and do so good, blessed by Jack over there.
Oh yeah.
We have merch, we have jerseys, we have all kinds of things you want to represent the club and get a little bit of that luck from some, not me, because I don't got shit, but
that is
the rest
exactly
of them.
right. That is exactly right. And Rocco would have been incredibly remiss of us not to mention it. So let me ask a couple piercing diagnostic questions, Mason, and you can tell us the answer to that. Yeah. When Mike had his final game and when Alex had their final games, were either of them wearing the Always Strikes Last jersey?
Jersey. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. Not even the t-shirt.
Critically, were either of them wearing the Always Strikes Last booty shorts?
That's
tight.
They were not. Can confirm.
Well, Mason, that's where they went wrong.
It's like, do you go outside without sunscreen? God.
Come on, man.
I do, but
I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah, this is 7 pairs waiting. 8 for laundry day.
Yeah.
I joke, but good call out, Rocco. Guys, if you've enjoyed the episode, as always, please, from the ether right there, consider liking and subscribing, telling your friends about it, telling your enemies about it.
Whether it's Podbean or whether it's YouTube, we're growing all over, or Spotify, whatever it is.
Exactly.
We're getting the podcast out to you, dear listener, dear viewer. Follow me, camera guy. We're out here for you, all right?
Absolutely.
We love you. We want to hear from you. Get in touch with us, comment, join the Discord. We're doing a online RTT, like a slow roll RTT right now. We're going into round 2. I get to play against Rocco.
Yeah, we're each one win
We want to grow that. We want to do more. It's tons of fun. It's really low commitment. We'll teach you TTS. Come check it out.
Yeah. Be a cool ongoing thing, guys. I foresee more of those in the future. So come join us, and we would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
But, at that moment, I think we might be doing our traditional fight for the last word.
I think so.
Yeah.
You guys fight for it.
Yeah, you won enough, Mason.
Yeah, he's got a golden ticket there. Not just for Willy Wonka anymore. Jealousy abounds. And
what he said.
Doggo.
My dog's asleep because it's 2 a.m. by me and Jack.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, no animals are awake. The only things that are awake at this time of night here are ghosts.
Nice.
Get a ghost.
Did like Potter.